Good morning, Year 4. I hope you've had a lovely weekend and welcome to the final week of this half term and the Monday fractions activities. So I'd like you to look at the mental arithmetic questions in front of you, and I'd like you to pause the video and have a go, please. Welcome back, Year 4. I'm now going to reveal the answers and I would like you to mark them, please. So as you're marking, if we just unpick a couple of the questions that you've done. Here, initially you had 67 add something is 100. So as we're above 50, I'd be choosing the strategy just to count on from 67 up to 100. 67 add 3 is 70, add 30 more gets me to 100. So I added there 33, hence that's my answer. Equally, you could have used the inverse and you could have done 100 subtract 67. That would have also given you the answer. 100 take 60 is 40, take away 7 means you're at 33. And similar approach down here really. Initially, this was a question mark. So 100 take away something's 22. One way to do that is just to subtract the 22 off 100. So 100 take away 20 is 80, take away 2 more is going to give you 78. That's our middle number. I could have equally added on to 22 to get up to 100. Add 8 to 22 takes me to 30. And add 70 more gets me to 100. Hence I added on 78. So there are approaches that I could have taken. Equally, if you were doing number bonds to 20, what added to the 7 makes 20, so using the inverse there, or equally 20 take away the 7, the answer is 13, so that would have been another approach, is to do 20 take 7 is 13, and that's all about knowing, isn't it, that we can manipulate our calculations in order to help us solve them. 13 and 7 is 20, 13 and 7 makes 20. Okay. Once you've marked your work, we're going to move on to today's lesson. So today is about building on Friday's lessons. We're going to see how much you can remember after a weekend. Can I find fractions of amounts in order today to solve some problems? So again, we're going to be using that denominator to tell us what to divide by. So if it's a quarter divided by 4, if it's a fifth divided by 5, we're going to use bar models still to help us visualize. And the numerator, the number at the top, will very much tell us whether it is 2/5 or 3/5, etc. So very quickly, just looking at the Sapphire challenge. I know a few of you found it a little bit tricky just finding halves of numbers. Hopefully quite a few of us can just work this out in our head. But essentially, a half is dividing by 2. So I'm saying 10 shared between 2, 10 divided by 2. I could actually share them into 2 circles. I could draw my own circles. And very much if I had 10, as I share them, I'd be crossing them off so that I've got no mistakes when I'm actually sharing equally. And that's the first 5 done. I can actually see from my picture the answer is going to be 5 because I've actually crossed off half, but we'll continue to share. And 2 to go, and I can see that my answer is 5. This is one half and this is the other half. If you'd like to start the Sapphire challenge, please do so. My advice to anyone doing the Sapphire challenge would also though be to try to do the bronze challenge today. So you might want to come back to this video in order to see the bronze challenge. Now, the bronze group are going to do the green challenge today. The silver group are going to do the yellow challenge. And the gold group are going to be doing the red challenge. And then there's an extension for the gold group as well. So let's have a look at the green challenge. There are 27 marbles. 1/3 of them are red. How many are red? If you're doing the yellow challenge, then rather than just 1/3, it is going to be 2/3. Okay, so the fraction is bigger than just 1 unit. It's what we call a non-unitary fraction. And if you are doing the red challenge, you can see you have to work out 2/7 of a number to find out how many are red, but then actually we don't want to know how many are red, we want to know how many actually are green. But let's just unpick very quickly that green problem, because even if you're doing the yellow or the red, do you remember we always said if you had to find 2/3, you would find 1/3 first of all. If you were finding 2/7, you would be finding 1/7 first of all. So looking at the bronze challenge is still going to benefit everybody. So first of all, 27 marbles, 1/3 are red. Well, hopefully from Friday, the key part that I hope you can remember is that if I'm finding 1/3 of something, then I am dividing by 3. I've got 27 marbles, therefore my calculation is 27 divided by 3. Now, I don't have to draw a bar model, but for lots of us, as this is only the second time of finding fractions of amounts, you still might find this very useful to do. You can see in my bar model, I've done it in 2 ways. I've got 27, which is my whole amount, and I've thought of them, I've used counters, or actually we could even say these are actually marbles I've drawn, and I've shared my 27 into my 3 boxes. 3 boxes because we're finding thirds. I can see I end up with 9 in each box. However, if I just knew that 3s go into 27 9 times, then each third is actually worth 9. Okay, each of those boxes is effectively 1/3. Now, more commonly, we tend to draw a bar model just with the whole and then the fraction we split it into. So I could have equally have just drawn a bar model like this to help me. Now, 1/3 then, as we said, is obviously 9. And here I can colour 1/3. Okay, the same on this fraction, on this bar model here. What about then if it was 2/3? Hopefully you can remember from Friday that 2/3 we're going to need to be looking at 2 of the boxes because each box is worth 1/3. Okay, each of these bars is worth 1/3. So my answer is going to be 9 add 9, which is 18. And we can see that down here as well. Okay, so 2/3 is 18. And the reason for that was that 1/3 was worth 9 and another third was worth 9. Hopefully you're remembering all this from Friday now. If I add my fractions, my denominator stays the same. 2/3, 9 add 9 is 18. Okay, so now I need to just double check my question. This is really important for the golds now because it says how many are red? Well, 1/3 are red, so my answer here was 9. Okay, and when it was 2/3 were red, then 2/3 were 18. Okay, just be aware, gold, you're not always asked ultimately just what is red. You might be asked how many are green. If this was the green amount, let's say another third were green, then that third would be 9. Okay. So I'd like bronze and silver to start their challenges. If you're going to do the gold challenge today, then you might just want to listen to the gold extension because this will push your understanding on even further today. Now, this says I've got 48 marbles. 1/3 are red, 1/4 are blue, the rest are green. How many are green? Okay. For the minute, just ignore this red question here. That's a further extension. So if I think about my bar model, now, first of all, look at this bar model. Okay, my lines, I've drawn a little bit at an angle. I've drawn them quite quickly. But actually, this is good enough to be able to represent my concept of what a third is and what a quarter is. Okay, we all know that fractions need to be exactly the same amount, but this is good enough as a representation. However, had I drawn it directly onto the squares, it would have been easier to have divided my fraction better, and you'll find some squared paper at the end of all of today's task sheet to help you to do that. Nonetheless, if I'm doing 1/4 are red, then I'm going to be doing 48 divided by 3. So okay, I might find that a little bit tricky because I know that 48 is above 36, it's above 12 times 3, so I'm maybe not as confident how many 3's go into 48. Well, I could break that down. I could break it down into 30 divided by 3 and 18 divided by 3. 30 divided by 3 is 10, obviously 10 times 3 is 30, and 18 divided by 3 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18. So what I've done there is I've said, okay, I'm going to break up 48. I'm going to chunk it, if you like, into 30 and 18. Those two numbers still make 48. Therefore, my answers would be the answer just here. Okay, so we can see that it's 16. 16 times 3 makes 48. So on my bar chart, my thirds are going to be 16 and 16 and 16. Okay. Now, let's just change the colour of our pen just to keep this nice and clear. 1/4 are blue. So on this occasion, it's still 48 marbles. That's still my total. And I need to find 1/4 of them. So it's going to be dividing by 4. Okay, this time I know that 10 lots of 4 is 40. 12 lots of 4 is 48. So my answer is 12. I don't need to do any chunking, breaking up of this number this time. So each quarter is going to be worth 12. Now the question is, how many are green? And actually the rest are green. Okay, so let's just use this information then in my bar chart. If 1/4 were red, and actually I could have even coloured that red there, then that number can go into this bar chart here. Okay, and I had a total which was 48. We're saying that 16 are red. That effectively was a third of 48. Okay, and we're also saying that 1/4 was 12. Now don't be confused by the fact that this is cut into thirds. For this fraction rule here, I'm very much just using it as our usual addition fraction rule. We're saying that this amount, add this amount, add this amount makes 48. Okay, so if I was to extend even this fraction rule down, okay, we've got 16 add 12. So 10 add 10 is 20, 26, 28. So what's going to go here to make 48? And the answer is 20. Equally, 20 would have gone in here. Okay, 16 add 12 add 20 gives me 48. Okay, I can clearly see that because 20 add 10 is 30, add 10 is 40, 6 and 2 is 8. So how much is green? My answer is going to be 20. Okay, and there it is. Now, if you're doing the extension, I'm also then going to challenge you by saying, okay, what about if there were 12 marbles? Replace this number 48 with 12. I think you start with a number 24 to be fair, but then replace it with the number 12 and still complete what if a third was red, if 1/4 was blue, how many were green? You could replace this number with 36. You could even replace it with 240. Okay. So have a go at today's challenges, please. As I said, if I was drawing this on square paper, then I'll obviously be using my ruler. I'll be making sure this is accurate. I've just done that for a little bit of speed there, just to show you visually how to do it. Very quickly, if we look at today's problems, then we can see that there's bronze have got 4 questions, silver have got 4 questions, gold have got 4 questions. Now, my advice would be, if you're doing bronze, maybe see if you could then have a go at question 1 and 2 on silver. If you started with silver, maybe have a go at questions 1 and 2 on gold, and don't forget gold, you've got those extensions. So good luck today. I hope you enjoy the maths, and please don't forget, drawing bar models will help your understanding. Writing down your calculations on what you're doing will help your understanding, and it allows you to check back through your work. So good luck. I hope everyone gets all their answers correct, because you haven't got many to do, so it's about the accuracy, and I'll see you tomorrow.